Welcome to Manage to Engage, the podcast from clearandopen.com, dedicated to the evolution of you because businesses grow when people do. Serving leaders, managers, and people who will be, helping you reach excellence in your work and achieve your personal goals at the same time. Sign up for the free course at clearandopen.com. We tell ourselves, wow, turn off my phone for an hour. Boy, I'd be peaceful and relaxed and calm and focused. And that might be true. What also might be true is you'll be an anxious wreck, wondering what you're missing. Both are true. Which one's you? Hi, it's Joseph, and thanks for tuning in to Manage to Engage, the podcast from clearandopen.com. Shadow is a term used to encapsulate our unconscious motives and hidden agendas. Everyone has a shadow, and it's usually the root of all of your problems because it maintains and even creates your problems in ways that are completely off your radar. This episode begins a 4-part series on how to be bigger than your shadow, the basis of creating any kind of change. All of Western philosophy is founded on the ancient idea, know thyself. But how do you know the corners of your unconscious that get you into trouble so often? And what do you do when you find something? Keep listening to find out more. This episode is from a recent weekly member webcast. For more information about the many benefits of Clear and Open membership and how to get the help you need in conversations like this, please go to clearandopen.com. Thanks so much for listening. Now let's dive in.
I need to work on staying focused with what's in front of me at the moment. When I'm presented with a list of things to get done, I will have this urge to Superman the list and complete as many tasks as possible in one day. This often results in a lack of quality, which is frustrating to me because quality is something I value. But my shadow is telling me that having a checklist next to my task is more important. See, a question to ask myself is, why do I feel the need to finish everything as fast as possible? It's not a race and no one's giving me these crazy deadlines. I know part of my shadow is thriving on the recognition I get when I exceed someone's expectations. So maybe my shadow is a show off. The second question I'm asking myself is, where did this come from? And I'm kind of at that point right now where I'm not really sure.
Wonderful, Cody. Thank you. Super interesting. So, we're going to talk about this in the CLEAR course. This first step is clearly define the problem. You guys have been exposed to that. The course will go in deeper and more interesting ways into that process. But the first step is clearly define the problem. Do you feel like you've clearly defined the problem yet?
No, I don't.
Very good. So you're still in step 1.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good news, because if it seems confusing and hard to find the problem, it's because, why?
I haven't diagnosed the issue.
Exactly.
And I think part of it is that I just gained awareness of it. So we just bought a house recently, and we also have a baby on the way too. So part of me feels like
a little bit of stuff.
Yeah. So part of me feels like I have to get all of these projects done before the baby's due, which isn't realistic, but at the same time, I have that as a deadline in my head. And so I have this list of things I need to get done. And I'm trying to Superman and accomplish as many things as I can every night. And so it's affected me because if I take a day off, I feel bad because I didn't accomplish something on my list. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to feel that way. I shouldn't feel that way.
In the first 20% of the time where Cody was just talking, he said something really important. Anybody hear it? There's a polarity there, and you represented it really well. I mean, there was a polarity in what you wrote. And that's generally what you're looking for, or one of the things you're looking for in defining any kind of problem is a polarity or a contradiction, where there's one part of you wanting one thing and another part of you wanting another. Most of the time, people are far too tolerant of that. They don't identify that as a problem. Right? They go, well, one part of me wants this, another part of me wants this, and so what should I do? Well, as long as if one part of you wants to go left and the other part of you wants to go right, that's irresolvable.
I was going to say what I heard was that, it's an unrealistic deadline.
Bingo. That was it. That was the most concrete expression of the polarity. There was a lot of this and then that, this, not this, not this. But that was the essence of it. It was like, I know that it's not realistic to get all of this done, but
I still have the need or the feeling that I need to.
Okay. Yes. So it's impossible for those two I's to be the same. This is the identity principle that we learned in math. The thing is the thing and not something else. Just completely useless, except for applications like this.
Right.
If you know that it's not realistic to get it all done, then you also can't be the same person who wants to get it all done.
Okay.
Ergo, the person who wants to get it all done is not you, but
my shadow.
Are you behaving that way?
Yes. No. Sorry. Well, I think I misinterpreted your question.
You're believing it, perhaps, but your behavior is your shadow's got one hand on the steering wheel and is like, yeah, I don't care about reality. Let's just try to get it all done anyway.
Yeah.
Why? What's great about that for him?
He gets recognition.
For
exceeding expectations.
Are you asking me?
I'm doubting myself.
Never accept an answer from someone when they ask it as a question like that.
I guess what's confusing to me is I'm trying to live up to these unknown expectations. And I can't identify whose expectations I'm trying to live up to. Part of me always defaults to my parents. Maybe that was something they installed in me, but at the same time, I don't feel as though I ever struggled to impress them.
Let's set aside the why for a moment.
Okay.
Does it matter? Like, let's look at this in a kind of very cool black and white way. One part of you has unrealistic expectations and is clearly not interested in participating in reality.
Right.
This is like, to sort of universalize this is like when we have a to-do list for any particular day and we look at our calendar, like, okay, I'm in like 5 hours of meetings and then here's 5 hours of tasks to do. Well, that's just not going to happen. And you've got to choose some things that you're not going to do, but you don't want to, right? I don't want to choose some things I'm not going to do. I'm just going to try really hard. Maybe if I try really hard, I'll get it all done. And then what happens? What's the result?
I'm usually disappointed because I didn't meet my expectations.
Yeah. The day ends. You're exhausted. You don't feel good about what you accomplished because you're focusing on what you didn't accomplish. And the result is suffering. What's good about suffering? Because when we do that, we're choosing it. So there must be something good about it. What's the reward?
We're able to fulfill our expectations for that day.
But you're not fulfilling your expectations for that day. You're failing at the expectations for the day.
So my thought about the suffering is almost that the analogy in my head is like a rock climber. It's the next handhold to make sure you stay on the wall. And I think that suffering is that for those people that focus on the things that they're not achieving. It's like the thing that continues to drive them for the next day. And I think the fear or the thing that comes out of suffering, or maybe the thing that drives suffering, is that if you don't experience that or you don't allow yourself to experience that, you'll lose the drive to continue moving forward.
That's a common one, Thomas. Well said. Who would you be? The question where I was going to go next that you're already sort of answering is, who would you be without being a failure at the end of every day?
Probably a much more rested, productive version.
That's the light side, but what might be the difficulty someone would experience?
Not doing anything.
If you complete everything you're, quote, supposed to do in a day, what might you be left with?
The lack of drive.
Mm-hmm. That's the fear. No different than turning off your phone for a day, or how about an hour, right? What comes up? We tell ourselves, wow, turn off my phone for an hour. Boy, I'd be peaceful and relaxed and calm and focused. And that might be true. What also might be true is you'll be an anxious wreck, wondering what you're missing. Both are true. Which one's you? You see, if both of those experiences are true, one must decide to depart confusion. You must side with one or the other. It cannot be both. You have to decide the anxious wreck in me when I turn off my phone, the sufferer in me when I don't get through my to-do list. That's not me. That's not the essence of me. And I'm choosing to take a higher / different road. If you don't do that, then you remain in confusion. And it looks confusing when it's actually not. And what's the benefit of that confusion? The very confusion Cody has been wrestling with. What's the benefit of being confused about it? What changes while confusion is the case?
Nothing.
And that is by design. Confusion is always fusion with your shadow. You're blended with. Confusion by definition is points of view that don't go together are going together. Not necessarily always, but try that on. What if confusion is, it's not like there's anything wrong with confusion. Sometimes it's a necessary temporary path where how else would you find out that you've got differing points of view inside you? Oh, I'm confused. So what is that confusion? Oh, well, part of me wants X and part of me wants Y. Part of me wants to be clear-headed and at peace and feeling like a success at the end of the day. But another part of me wants to have unrealistic deadlines and expectations. Okay, cool. But then the step that you hadn't taken yet, Cody, was you hadn't decided really which one was you. And so you framed it. You didn't frame it as, you kind of framed it as, you said, well, my shadow has these, sometimes you said my shadow has unrealistic expectations. Other times you said, I have unrealistic expectations. Or you would say, I know there's only so much I can do, and I still have this feeling that. So what that there's a feeling that wants to get everything done in an unrealistic way? So what? Sometimes I have the feeling I want to kill somebody on the road. So? You see, it's only a problem if you think you might act on it, right? If I thought I might actually kill someone on the road, I would be going to a therapist and I'd say, hey, I almost killed someone on the road who cut me off. I need help. But that's not a problem, you see, because I don't believe it. But you're still believing your shadow, who doesn't want to live in reality. And that's a valiant struggle. You must have some convincing arguments. Do you know any of them?
I don't. I think I was just trying to think of them right now, but I'll have to kind of sit on that one and dissect that.
In the meantime, what could you do to show him who's boss?
Contradict what he's saying.
Or that's the beginning. And then what?
See how it makes me feel.
Mm-hmm. I use the word show
Okay.
on purpose. How do you show him who's boss?
I guess proving him wrong would be
By?
I'd say through my actions.
Yes. That's the only way.
Yeah.
Which would be, for example?
I guess in my instance, I was talking about setting one task aside, finishing it to completion and quality and all of that, and then sitting down and seeing how I feel at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And that is something that I've consciously done before. And the thing is, I felt at peace that night. because I looked back and I finally completed a project that I felt good about, and it wasn't slapped together, and I wasn't concerned about putting the check mark next to it. I guess there's like a sense of pride in what I did. And so I know that's the direction I want to go, because I acknowledge that feeling was a good feeling to me versus what I'm conflicted with when I'm trying to rush through tasks and Superman things and stuff like that. I don't get that same feeling. I see the two sides, but for some reason I still gravitate, I gravitate towards what my shadow is trying to tell me, which is Superman, all the tasks.
I gravitate toward what my shadow is telling me. Is that how you want to live your life?
No, it sounds horrible.
The way you talk about it makes him more powerful than you are.
Right.
When you say I gravitate toward what my shadow is telling me, I hear the shadow talking about you.
Mm-hmm.
What's really being said there is, I have control of Cody's life. And we talked about the moments at the very end of the excellence course, the 10th or 11th one, the moments of excellence, that the excellence for you is not going to be, it's not the crossing of the finish line. It's not the end of the day. That's not where the moment of excellence is. The moment of excellence is in the moment where you go, hey, shadow, I know you want to get 15 things done today, and that's unrealistic. So we're going to list 5, and we're going to do those. And that's it.
Okay.
And then you do that. That's the moment.
Okay.
That's the moment. And that's super simple, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily easy.
That's something I can actually work on like every day. Because I have a long list of things to do. So
I'm sure you do.
I'll prioritize those and see where that leads.
Thanks for listening to Manage to Engage, the Clear and Open podcast. Join us next week when you'll be a little bit closer to who you're destined to be. Until then, know that Clear and Open is dedicated to the evolution of you, because businesses grow when people do. Be sure to visit clearandopen.com for the latest tools, articles, and free resources to help you on your journey. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.